Hello world and our dust stuff. Welcome you to the show.
Welcome back, dear listener. Tonight, we're kind of back to being retro guys. We're kind of back to being electronics people. We're kind of back talking about more technical stuff. And, you know, I have just a small smidgering of things that I've been working on. With vacations and it being so hot, it's kind of slowed me down in the shop. But Ryan, you don't have to go outside and be in the shop. You got your internal shop desk, secondary office kind of environment going. What have you been up to, man?
Yeah, I definitely do. Nowhere big as your shop by any means. So I have to do things in stages and can't leave them sitting out there like you can. Like, oh my gosh. It's like you have room for all of your retro stuff and your VW and then still have some more space left over.
And have room for workout equipment, and have room for a dice making station, and have room. Yeah, it's nice.
Oh yeah,
I bought this house just for the shop.
Right. No, I have actually pulled my 2000 or one of my 2000s back. This is actually the first one that I picked up getting back into retro stuff a couple years ago. I think I talked about this one at one point where I ended up driving outside of New York City to go pick this thing up and been slowly doing upgrades with it. So I took this to the retro meetup I did here locally.
So cool.
A couple months ago. And just to show off, this is the one I'm transporting that I have in the best shape minus an original keyboard and mouse. But I wanted to actually start putting some of these cards I have. They're sitting on a shelf inside of this 2000 because they're no fun sitting on a shelf. So I started off going, I've got a 2000. We got card slots. It's a big box of Amiga. This is great. I have a network card that'll go in it. So I have put a NIC inside of this guy. Now the NIC did cause me a little bit of grief. It fits right in the Zorro slots. So for the dear listener, a Zorro slot in an Amiga is equivalent to like the ISA PCI slots kind of thing. The pin out's a little different, but they're both in there. Inside of an Amiga 2.
Same idea. It's like a big black block that has copper on the inside for the card to shove into, right?
100%.
Okay.
So an Amiga 2000 has a couple slots that are ISA slots, a couple slots that are both ISA and Zorro, and a couple that are just Zorro.
Oh, wow.
So that's how they use like a card like a bridge board. They put it in one of the slots that are both, so it bridges the bus together.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, I have one. I have not put it in this guy, but I have a bridge board as well. It's like an XT bridge board. But you can actually put stuff in there that on the bridge board side, you can actually have a video card or extra memory or whatever from the XT side. But on this, I actually had an Amiga network card. I had it in my 4000 tower. I took it out of the tower because the new video card I got has networking built into it.
Oh, sweet.
So I didn't need it in there. And I put it in. I'm like playing around. I'm like, okay, cool. It locks up. So there's a little jumper in there to tell it if it's in Zorro 2 or Zorro 3 mode. I left it set to Zorro 3 mode because that's what an Amiga 3000, 4000 has, which is more 32-bit. It's faster. It's the same kind of slot. They look exactly the same. It's just they can handle more data. So I had to go change the jumper. Once I did that, everything was fine. It's on my network. I can actually send data back and forth. Network card's fast. The Amiga's not. So it takes a little bit to send things. Whatever, right? What do you expect? So I'm fully populated memory. This is upgraded. It's got a Motorola 68030 processor in it, which Amiga 2000s didn't come with by default. So it's an added accelerator card. I've got 9 meg of memory in it, which is pretty much the most of what you can do.
That's cool.
So I also put in a video toaster. In this, I have 2 video toasters, one for a 2000, and I have a toaster, the original video toaster, which I put in here. and I have a toaster 4000, which will probably end up in it'll end up in a tower or a 4000 desktop at some point. I'm not sure which one I'm going to put it in. And I put a TVC inside of this 2000, which is a time-based corrector, so you can sync multiple video signals with NTSC and or PAL as well. I believe the signals had to be synced a certain way, so when you recorded it, you could deal with it. It's not as easy as today. And I also added a GoTech internally instead of just using one external all the time. When we bought one for you, for your 500 we got for you, I picked up a couple extras, and with this one being the one that I'm going to be transporting around to like random retro shows and stuff, I figured I'd just stick one internally. There's a bay for it. Got all that worked out.
That's perfect.
So this thing is loaded. I have a couple empty slots left. I think there's maybe two slots left that I haven't put something in. So you never know. I might get around to putting that bridge board in here. Who knows? Just to fully populate. But it's great. It was running hot. Oh my gosh. Like accelerator card, where the accelerator card is and where the CPU or the fan, the main power supply fan, it blocks the airflow.
Oh, jeez.
So you're pulling air out from behind the drive bays. Well, great. Like the 3.5 and the 5 1/4 drive bay. But just trying to suck air from where all the Zorro cards are, there's this big CPU card there, and mine's double wide, that has this processor. There's no heat sinks or anything. It's just hot.
It's like you dammed off the ability to get air.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Wow.
100%. There's not a fan in the front of the 4000 case to be blowing through across the cards. That's amazing. So it's like, I didn't even realize it. So I've had the lid off for, I don't know, about a week or so now while I'm playing around trying to 3D print a bracket. And, you know, I think I told you off podcast a little bit, you know, I printed this bracket and these little plastic standoffs. I put them in the wrong spot on the bottom of the bracket. So I printed another set of standoffs to re-glue them back on the bottom, let it sit. Yeah, it was an ordeal, but it was fun. I had a lot of fun trying to get this together.
That's better than drilling extra holes in my 1541. So you did better than I did. Good job.
Right. I didn't have to drill any holes. So the bottom of the bracket actually has 8 holes in the bottom. You use one of them if it's going in one spot, or you use the other one to go somewhere else, depending on which machine you're putting it in. So the bracket's more generic. I put them in the wrong slot. Go figure. Ta-da, because of course I did. I'm measuring, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's this one. And I'm confident. The next morning I'm putting it in, and I'm like, that doesn't line up. Huh. Okay. Yeah, the standoffs took 20 minutes to print, and then the glue took, you know, there's another 12, 14 hours by the time I glue it and let it just sit there. Great. So neat. I got all that stuff in, and I just went over to go look at it, and I'm like, wow, this feels really hot. And I touched the card, the accelerator card, and this whole board is amazingly hot. Like, I can start cooking things on it hot.
Wow. Okay. Do you have a little boop 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 heat sensor boop boop pointer thing?
I don't, but it was uncomfortable for me to touch hot.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, that's not good.
No.
We need to fix this. So, luckily, I had bought some extra those Noctura fans.
Oh yeah.
I just tend to keep a couple on stock, dealing with all this retro stuff that generates an amazing amount of heat, that I could, let's just pull one of these out. And of course, there's not a good place to mount it on the front. There's some open grates in the front of the 2000 case, which is great, but there's not a spot that's made for a fan there. That just wasn't a thing. So what I did, I have this 80 millimeter fan, and it has the little holes, and it's all fiberglass on the outside, so it's not conducting electricity. So I just put it on the inside of the case and used little zip ties and zip tied it to the inside of the case to hold it in its spot. I've had it running on and off now for a couple hours, and it blows enough air through the card area that it's not amazingly hot anymore. It's like, oh, comfortable to touch.
Great.
And I have a 40 millimeter fan I'm going to take and mount it at another spot to blow over the other side of the accelerator card with the processor on it, just to get more airflow in there, because I'm not sure what's going to happen when I put the lid back on. So I'm just being overly cautious.
I would, yeah. I mean, number one, this stuff's old enough that, you just don't want it running hot, right? Even if it was made back in the day to be okay running hot, right? That it was, It's okay, it runs hot, it'll be fine. Well, 40 years later, maybe that doesn't hold true.
Right. And I still want it to run. I still like playing with it. So that's been my projects for that 2000 over the last little bit. I got the video toaster software installed. I tried to launch it. Apparently, you have to have a video source plugged into the back of the toaster, or the toaster gets like, I don't know what to do, and it just won't come up.
That makes sense.
So I have not gotten that part to work yet, but that's on my list now, because I have some, because the toaster's all BNC connectors, so I have some BNC to RCA adapters. So this has been a lot of my retro time, is getting this 2000, doing something different with it, getting it on the network. It's been great. Just being like, oh, I brought up a web browser. By the way, I only have 9 meg of RAM in this guy, because that's what it can handle. It's 1 meg of the chip memory, which is like your video memory, but can be used by other stuff. And then 8 megabytes of your fast memory, which is memory that only the CPU can access on an Amiga. By the time I go hit, CNN's light page, it's like m.cnn or light.cnn.com. It's text only. Of course, it's SSL enabled. By the way, SSL enabled for an Amiga costs an extra 2 megabytes of RAM to deal with the SSL connection. Wow. Which is, that's a thing. Our website for our podcast is also, since I enabled the SSL, it forwards you over to the SSL side. It won't show you the non-SSL, or I didn't get to do that. So it was trying to decode it as well. And I ran out of memory before I could load my own web page on it.
That is hilarious. You just never think about that, how much we use compared to back in the day.
Right. Because you got a phone on your desk, a current iPhone's going to have, 2 gig, 4 gig of RAM. And that's orders of magnitude more than what this guy has. I'm just kind of curious what's going on. And I played a little bit with a BBS with it. So there's some online BBSs that you can get to over the internet without needing to have a phone line. So it's using Telnet to connect. So the BBS is set up that way. And I have a term program that has there's a serial device for the Amiga, and I know other machines do it too, that you put in the information for what the IP is in the port, and that device handles that and translates it and makes the connection over TCP for you.
By the way, did you try going to FrogFind by any chance?
Oh, I did not.
Okay, I'm going to put that on your list. I just added it into the show notes for the listeners that Action Retro put this together as a search engine for vintage computers to use.
Okay.
So I'd be curious what your results are going to FrogFind. I think it should be beautiful, but I'm curious.
I am very interested now too. I want to know. I'm curious what we can do. I was just trying to see what I could do with it.
Yeah.
And all that goodness. I know there's an SMB3 client for the Amiga now that you can actually mount SMB connections from it and do like network shares. I haven't set that up yet. That's on my list. So there's a lot just with this 2000, just playing around and trying to see what's going on. But that memory limitation is kind of a thing.
Yeah.
There are some accelerators that can have more memory on them than what the base Amiga can address. So 02 card can only handle 8 megabytes across that 02 bus.
Wow.
So some accelerators could have memory on them as well, like 32 meg or whatever on that accelerator but it doesn't go across the Zorro 2 bus, so it can address it.
That is amazing. Dude,
So
it's
that's the
amazing how
problem.
they were so creative too.
Yes.
With all these different interfaces and how to get between them and expand memory. And they didn't think about that to begin with. It was that later life of, oh, how do we do this? Oh, here's how we do it. And it might even be some development company on the side, not even coming from Commodore with some of these ideas. So
Right.
that is really cool. Now you mentioned SMB, which reminds me, can I swap topics real quick?
Do it.
SMD soldering. So unlike Ryan, I did not take any computers apart and build anything crazy, but I was soldering up like a champ. And
Nice.
one of the things I got into is SMD soldering. I'll throw a link in the show notes to the hacker box I got that had this HAL 2000 project. It's a PCB and you put chips on it and you touch it and it goes, hey, Rich, welcome. It does the HAL voice. You just put sound clips in there. It's nothing complex with this little Arduino project. But SMD soldering is what's complex. And it was really neat. They walked you through. I mean, if you know how to do this, none of this is important to you. You're like, oh, yeah, I know all about SMD soldering. But it was my first time. And they actually give you 3 different examples of how to do it. One is put a little bit of solder, paste, and, put the resistor down and boop, 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 drop the solder and do an SMD that way. But I also learned about the bump method and the castellation method of surface mount soldering. And it was very interesting. So you did everything with a soldering iron, no hot air, nothing along those lines. It was made to be your introduction to SMD soldering with this project. And it was really cool. And I didn't do it right. It didn't work when I was done. So then I bust out the oscilloscope we got. And I started doing continuity testing. I even tested resistors because I thought maybe I blew them up or something. I was like, I put too much heat on them? I don't know. And so I used the oscilloscope to get in there with its multimeter functionality and did all my testing. And I found out when I did the bump method, I'm sorry, the castellation method, which is where you're supposed to get it to come up through the hole. You're supposed to draw it up, right? I didn't do 2 of them right. So I have 2 circuits that are not connected. So I'm not getting continuity from 2 places. So I got to do a little bit of cleanup work. I'll probably take it all off and then start over and do that one again. But that was a pretty fun project. And the SMD stuff is pretty important because as I move into doing some Amiga work, I will have to start dealing with some of that. Or no, is it still all through hole?
For the Amiga 500, it's all through holes.
Okay.
For I've done some SMD capacitors on the 4000, and there was a couple chips that I had to replace on my 4000 that was SMD, and I kind of did some YouTube stuff. I didn't do anything with paste or any of that. I had a very fine tipped iron.
Mm-hmm.
It had a little bit of, this is probably the worst way to do this, I have no idea, a little bit of solder on the tip and just tap it to the thing that was soldering onto.
Oh, that works.
And it would tack it on that way. Like if I'm doing a little capacitor, I'm holding down the top of the can and then I'm like, oh, it's all clean. I put some flux around it and then I just heat up, grab a little bit of solder on the top of the tip, put it on the side where the capacitor is. Perfect. And it'd stick down, hit both sides, and they're like, it's solid, so it's okay. It's not coming off. I tried to wiggle it, and it doesn't wiggle.
When I did the solder paste method with the solder, I had too big of a tip, and I had too big of a blob. And so I actually had to do some cleaning. I see what that's a way to get it done, right? You just got to get it done. And so I thought maybe I was having some SMD coming up, but even though I still wanted to learn to do it, and have a great project example to make that happen. I think the only other project I worked on was I built a generator, a test generator for the oscilloscope, a function generator kit. I just looked.
Okay.
Function generator kit that when I was done, and by the way, I got it all done. There was no SMD soldering. It was all through hole. I did it right the first time. It worked out of the gate. And I was like, yes, it worked out of the gate. It will make a square triangle, and I'm going to say this other word, sinusoidal sinusoidal. It'll make 3 different waves, 3 different output signals. I don't know how to say the other one. It's like sinus oidal. It's like, I don't know what that, I don't even know how to say the word, but it makes all 3 signals, and our oscilloscope picks everything up perfectly. It was so neat.
Oh, nice.
It let us take the oscilloscope that you suggested, and we both bought it, and I was using it with it, and sure enough, I could ramp the signal up, I could bring it down, I can increase power. I mean, it was really neat to see that 100%. I have no idea what I'm doing with the oscilloscope, but I have one that works.
Well, you're doing better than I am, because I haven't tried mine yet, really, other than some basic continuity stuff is the only thing that I've actually done.
Yeah, I that bad motherboard, I'm going to probably need it for that. But I got a couple more chips off there. I got the Hako working again, but I think maybe next episode I'll be ready to talk about all those chips being tested. It's a lot of work to take all the chips off, man.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It isn't just sitting there and go pop, 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 pop. I mean, they make it look easy on YouTube videos, but when I'm doing it, it ain't easy.
No, it's hours of work. They're usually fast forwarding through that. So I have some 4000Ds, the desktop version, and I'm thinking of replacing the SIM sockets, because I have the older plastic ones to like some clip ones. But each one of those SIM sockets, I think 72 pins. So you have to desolder, and there's 5 SIM sockets on this thing. And I'm a little nervous because the battery's leaked on both of them, and the battery's right beside at least the bottom SIM socket. And I think I cleaned up around there, but who knows what's going on underneath that? And part of me is like, yeah, I kind of want to go do this, but it's going to take days to desolder all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just not that. By the time you go touch them all with new solder to reflow it, and then you start sucking them off. So we got to get those off the board, clean it up, make sure there's nothing underneath there still trying to eat things, because that's not what we want.
Dude, that's just, it makes me crazy, because I'm sitting there working with really big chips and big legs.
Yeah.
And you're going to be working with tiny legs on the bottom of those. I didn't even know you could fit 72 pins under a SIM socket like that. That is so small.
Yeah, that's how they go around. So, and they're all through holes. So that's nicer. I like through hole significantly. I like through hole. I had some friends saying they love the SMD stuff better, but I actually like the through hole. I know it might take a little bit longer, but I find that I just like them better for what my skill set is.
Dude, I think you bought some new stuff. What'd you get that's new?
Well, I went to Micro Center today to go get a fan splitting cable and misread what they had in stock. I needed a 3-pin one, they had a 4-pin one. I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to end up ordering it from Amazon. But while I was there, they had a Pi 3A Plus. So I impulse bought a Pi 3A. Why a Pi 3A when the Pi 5's out, or 4? They should have so many Pis in stock. It was unreal. Remember a couple of years ago?
Like, that was crazy. We were swapping stuff to get Pis from people, but yeah.
Yeah. So I bought one. I wasn't going to, but then I have an Amiga 1000 downstairs that I need to go get cleaned. It's some project in the future. And in it, I'm going to put in a Pi Storm.
Oh.
And the Pi Storm wants a 3A. That's what everything is designed for. So it wants a 3A, it wants that chip and all that stuff. So for $25, I was like, fine, give me one, then I'll have it. So when I get around to getting the Pi Storm boards and do that 1000, I can go make that happen. To me, it's important for the 1000 is where your 500 and all these other ones, the ROM is actually a chip on the board. Under 1000, you put a disk in, and it can only handle 256K ROM.
Oh.
Kickstart 2.0 or 3.0, 3.1 are 512K ROMs. So you can't install them on that 1000 without some help. Well, the Pi Storm will give you it's a CPU swap, so you lift up the processor, so you get faster CPU. You can do Wi-Fi with it now, connect to a Wi-Fi connection. You can also load the ROMs, from what I'm reading, I haven't tried, supposed to be able to put the different ROMs on it, so you can use it as a ROM selector for which OS you want to boot onto, and you can use it as a hard drive, all on a single PyStorm. We'll do all that.
That's amazing.
And I think it gives you better graphics too. So you can do like the upgraded, what they call it, RTG graphics for the Amiga, and you can use the HDMI out on it. You don't get the native Amiga modes, I don't believe, but you can go do that. So that's a big upgrade for that Amiga. This, the first Amiga, really. It has some limitations. You still only have half a mega chip RAM, which is what you have on your 500, since you have an earlier 500. The 500's earlier. And it's going to be a nice upgrade, but I just wanted to have it on hand for when I get around to it and not go, oh, they quit making the 3As, and now I can't go buy one again. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, just give me one of those.
That is going to be a good project, and I can't wait to hear how this comes together. I know what's crazy is we have so many projects. The list is so big. We should make a wiki for all of our projects. we both have way too many projects.
Oh yeah, I think I still have somewhere in the neighborhood close to 10 Amigas that I need to start working through. They're just part of projects that I just haven't got to yet. Obviously, the 1000's there. I have a couple 3000s, some more 2000s to do work on. There's just stuff. It's just time consuming.
Oh, dude.
So I'm looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to playing with them. And now I heard you might be trying to buy some stuff.
Oh, dude. I'm always buying things, but I think I know where you're going because I sent you a text the other day, or you sent me a text, and then I sent you a text back that said, do you want to go in on something? And
yes.
then you went, bah, and then text me back. I signed up for Christie's, and I told my girlfriend, you can now tell your friends, oh, yes, my boyfriend is a Christie's bidder at the auction house. Because Paul Allen's computer collection and a whole bunch of stuff Paul Allen is going to auction. And 100%. Right now, this episode is being recorded on day 2 of the 20 days that it's happening. So I don't know when this will drop in the sense, the auction may be over, or maybe it'll be over.
I think the auction will be over based on our schedule.
Okay.
From when we record it.
So, well, you know what's great now is no one can go snipe me. Because I'm watching the Byte magazines. I'm watching the 9 personal computers, the micro computer. It has a Commodore 64 in there. It has a PET, TI stuff. I'm watching some of those auctions. I am not watching the Cray auction or the IBM Sigma 9 auction that's currently at $300, I think, for a mainframe that will fill my shop up. I mean, this thing is huge. I don't even know how people are going to do this, dude. I guess if they're museums and stuff, they're
going to go to a museum.
Yeah, they got divisions.
Now, so I'm pretty sure, like, my local museum's going to look at some stuff.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely going to bid, and I expect to get outbid. But I want to now be able to tell people for the rest of my life, oh yeah, I bid on the Paul Allen collection. As DCFs or whatever. I just want to have some. Just get me some clout, right? I was a bidder on that. Yeah.
Have you made a bid yet so far?
No, I need to.
Okay.
I need to do it while it's low.
That's what I'm saying. You better do it while it's low, or it's going to be like, well, that's a $20,000 bid. I hope someone outbids me.
I don't know where I would. I don't know what my top number is on things. I don't know where I'm at. I'm reviewing things and watching them right now online, and there's a few things I want to go bid on, and I think I would be a serious bidder. Like, maybe having the Byte magazines. I know that I could probably go buy all the Byte magazines cheaper than what I could through the Paul Allen auction, but they're the Paul Allen ones, and I'll have the provenance to go along with that. Microcomputers I like, but they're going to go. They're going to go high, man. Those 9 people are going to bid on those. Those are great for museums. Those are great for personal collections. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to bid, Ryan, and we'll go what happens. But it'll be fun. It'll be a fun, neat experience. And now I can consider myself a Christie's auction house member.
I love it. I love it. Was it hard to become registered?
Actually, I had to provide some materials, and I worked with someone to be verified to be able to bid on the auction. So there was some documentation I had to provide. There was a conversation that happened, but by the young lady Helen that I worked with had me all taken care of in 5 minutes. So
Okay.
yeah, there is a little bit of work, not a ton. It's about like when you're doing something like it's not even as bad as getting pre-check, but it's a little bit more. It's like maybe getting ready. Oh, on a cruise. We just talked about going on a cruise. You
Right.
have to supply all the documents because you're going international. It felt
Yes.
like that. It felt like that. It felt like
Okay.
for international, you're okay to go on my cruise. I had to
Yeah.
give enough documents and to say you're okay to bid on things.
That makes sense. I mean, you're a real person.
Yeah.
You're not going to put a fake bid in there to screw with the whole thing. There's some paying attention to it where I've seen that happen on like eBay where people just have bid on things and go, yeah, never mind. I'm just not going to deal with it. And there's not a lot of repercussion there.
So we don't know, Ryan. If I get a little crazy, I may end up with a big teletype machine at my house. I don't know. Let's hope I don't. And
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Get the nine micros because I kind of want that pet. I do, but I don't. You know what I mean?
So if I get it for 5,000, I'll sell you the pet for 4,500.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Wow. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes for $5,000. I mean, that whole collection.
Dude, I know. I'm watching that one. I'm watching it, dude. It's we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. Other than that, that's all I got for today. What else do you got to throw? You know, any more logs to throw in the fire?
No, I think I'm back into doing some adventuring stuff, or putting some hardware together. I was taking a little bit of break, doing some development, which we'll talk about in the future that helps our podcast behind the scenes.
Oh, I know what this is. That's going to be cool.
Yes, a little bit about making my life a little bit better for getting our podcast to you. But outside of that, I mean, just balancing the things, and then with my trips, and we are where we are.
Yeah,
we're enjoying life. We're enjoying the ride. And
one more trip, and then I'm back to really kind of having some more time, and the weather will cool down after my next trip. So, hopefully, I'll be back more in the shop.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your next adventures, travel, and in the shop. And thank you all for coming along.
Thanks, everyone. Talk soon. Bye.